And it is that right to peaceful protest that has sparked this entire sub-conversation that first emerged on Wednesday when Drew Brees, the Saints quarterback, future Hall of Famer, a man who has done more for the city of New Orleans than any football player has ever done for any city in the history of the league, a man who gave $5 million to COVID-19 relief just a few months ago along with his wife to help people in New Orleans. But when the issue came up again of protesting during the anthem, he reiterated his position from 4 years ago that he will never agree. I will never agree with anyone disrespecting the flag. We read the apology that he posted during the show yesterday. It hit about 8:30 a.m. Eastern. Last night, he posted another apology on Instagram. Here's the second apology from Drew Brees.
I know there's not much that I can say that would make things any better right now, but I just want you to see in my eyes how sorry I am for the comments that I made yesterday. I know that it hurt many people, especially friends, teammates, former teammates, loved ones, people that I care and respect deeply. That was never my intention. I wish I would have laid out what was on my heart in regards to the George Floyd murder, Ahmaud Arbery, the years and years of social injustice, police brutality, and the need for so much reform and change in regards to legislation and so many other things to bring equality to our black communities. I am sorry, and I will do better, and I will be part of the solution, and I am your ally. And I know no words will do that justice.
What we said yesterday, Big Cat, at the time that Drew Brees hadn't yet apologized, and then once he did in the form of a written statement, the apology needs to match the original statements in format. The original statements were given in the context of an interview. A written statement felt incomplete to me for a couple of reasons. First of all, because it was written. Second of all, because it didn't address one key question. The video apology may very well have been an effort to try to better bridge that gap between what the initial statements looked like and sounded like and what the apology looks like and sounds like. And it came at the end of a day when Brees had a team meeting. Shaquille O'Neal was part of that. He was previously scheduled to participate. He continued to participate. He shared some information that he gleaned from it. But I still believe two things. I think that there needs to be a Drew Brees interview where he faces specific questions about why he said what he said and what he truly believes. And ultimately, he needs to address the one unanswered question. And I say this in all deference to Drew. I have a ton of respect for Drew Brees, but we have to look at these issues within the four corners of what has been put in front of us. And when you say on Wednesday, I will never respect, or I will never agree, with disrespecting the flag, and then you apologize the next day, presumably for that statement, you have to address, I think, whether or not you still believe the thing you said that lit the fuse. And he hasn't addressed that yet. That's the one thing that I'm curious about. And if I'm curious about it as an outsider to the New Orleans Saints organization, I suspect that there are men within the team who, now maybe they were privy to it yesterday. Maybe, I don't know why he would say it during the team meeting and not say it publicly. If he said during the team meeting, it's okay if you protest, he needs to say it publicly because that's the way to fix this. That's the way to get people to understand what he's apologizing for. Because without saying, I've changed my position, to me, the apology seems a bit hollow.
Yeah, Drew Brees stated his opinion. That's how he felt when he gave that interview. That is how he feels. And I think there's a little bit of confusion online as well where people are saying, well, Drew Brees doesn't have a right to opinion. Drew Brees can't say what he wants to say. Of course he can say what he wants to say. But he also has to face the fact that it was incredibly tone deaf. And it was basically, I haven't learned anything in the last 4 years, because he ran the 2016 playbook that a lot of people were running, where they made a peaceful protest about police brutality to Black America about the flag and disrespecting troops. And that's not what it's about. And that's not what it was about in 2016. And it's especially not what it's about today. So for him to come out and basically try to run that same playbook, he is now showing that he hasn't listened at all, and he hasn't listened to his teammates. He hasn't listened to the other people in the leagues. He hasn't listened to his community. That's where people are upset. And I think everyone has a right to be upset if they know Drew Brees or they're hurt by Drew Brees. So Drew Brees has a right to say whatever he wants here. But when his opinion is tone deaf and it's clear that he hasn't learned anything and he hasn't really listened to what people are saying, of course he's going to get some backlash. And you said it, Mike. He is apologizing more for the backlash than his actual opinion, which that's where you have to shift people's brains and have them understand the issue on a deeper level than just simply flag equals stand, kneel equals disrespect. Because that's kind of what the argument is, what people want to make it. And they make it about that, and then it takes away from everything. And it takes away, I mean, even the last 3 days, talking about the Drew Brees thing has taken away from what's going on in America, which is unfortunate. But it's also a good lesson that this is where we've come from. And in the last 4 years, think about it this way, Mike. In 2016, what Drew Brees said was pretty much the sentiment of the NFL and the play that everyone ran to kind of quiet the protests down. What Drew Brees says in 2020, it's met with a lot of disappointment and a lot of backlash online, and I think that's a good thing. I know people will bring up cancel culture. Drew Brees still is the quarterback for the Saints. He hasn't been canceled in terms of his job, the millions of dollars he's made. Drew Brees had a bad opinion and he was called out on it, and that's good. That's a progress. That means that people are starting to listen and understand this issue at a deeper level and know that when someone says, oh, well, I don't want to disrespect the flag, they're way off because it's not about the flag and it hasn't been about the flag.
And this is an important point. I almost said it's an important nuance, but there's no nuance to this. This isn't a situation where Drew Brees, in the heat of the moment, used inappropriate language or made an off-color joke or said something into a hot mic that he wouldn't have said if he knew people were listening. He deliberately, intentionally, and in calculated fashion shared his opinion, shared his belief. The backlash was to his belief. So what are you apologizing for if you still cling to that belief? So part of the apology has to be, Drew, it has to be, I no longer believe that it's disrespectful to the flag, to the nation, to the military, to engage in peaceful protest by kneeling during the national anthem. And again, if he said that within the privacy of the team meeting that occurred yesterday, if that was part of what induced his teammates to accept his apology, he needs to say it publicly. And if he's not willing to say it publicly, Big Cat, my concern is that Drew is trying to not piss off anyone. He's trying to make everyone happy. And with this issue, you're not going to make everyone happy. You've got to pick a side. Either you say that kneeling during the national anthem is a peaceful protest that is within the rights of every American, whether or not you would do it yourself, you acknowledge and support their right to do it, or you say, I will never agree with anyone disrespecting the flag. You can't be in both camps. You can't have a foot in each position. It's one or the other. So I don't know what he said to get his teammates to accept his apology, but if I'm his teammate and I'm offended by his opinion and he says anything other than I've changed my view, I'm not accepting his apology. And if he's saying it privately and not publicly, I'm wondering, why isn't he coming out and saying, I have changed my view? And look, I'm not trying to be unfair to Drew here. I'm trying to be fair to the story. There is a gap that hasn't been addressed yet, that needs to be addressed before we can fully understand exactly what he's apologizing for and whether this apology is simply, I stepped right into it, I need to find a way to scrape it off my shoe.
So I think, Mike, what happens with sports, and it's difficult for us to comprehend because we feel like we root for, especially if you're a Saints fan, but if you're an NFL fan, you've been watching, rooting. Drew Brees has been part of your life for almost 2 decades now. So you feel like you know this guy. You don't know him. You do not know Drew Brees, but his teammates know him. His teammates know him on an intimate level. His teammates know him in that locker room. There's something about a locker room being with your teammates when the cameras are off. Booger McFarland came on Part of My Take today and made this point that when the phones are off and the cameras are off and you're just there with your teammates, it's just a different conversation. It's a different vibe. So I agree with you that I would like to see Drew understand what he said is off. He's off the mark. But I also completely understand that his teammates can have that about face pretty quickly because they know Drew Brees. They know what type of guy he is. They've been in the trenches with him. They have a relationship with him where it's just different. So we get caught in this spot as fans. We think we know these guys and we think we know everything about them. So when they say something stupid or they say something great, we're like, oh, well, that's the guy for the rest. We cast that die and we say that's Drew Brees forever. The guys in that locker room know Drew Brees. So I'm not surprised that they're able to mend that fence fairly quickly because there's an established relationship there through years and years of struggling together. So I'm not surprised by that part. And I have no problem. I mean, if that's how his teammates feel, that's how they feel. And I believe it. I do think it's sincere. I don't think Michael Thomas is being held, to be like, hey, no one called Michael Thomas and said, hey, let's make this right. I think Drew Brees called Michael Thomas and they had a conversation as friends, as teammates with an established relationship that we just don't have with any of these players.
Everything you said is spot on. But I put myself in the position of a teammate of Drew Brees because we all have relationships with the people that we work with. And if something like this happens, look, whatever it took to get, and we flashed the various tweets from the teammates who have accepted publicly the Drew Brees apology. Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Cam Jordan retweeting Demario Davis. Demario Davis was actually on CNN live when the apology first landed. He hadn't even read it when he reacted to it the first time and accepted it. Teron Armstead has accepted it. That's fine, but if I'm one of his teammates, again, if I was upset by what he said, if I disagree vehemently with his view, at some point during that interaction, Big Cat, I'm going to say to Drew Brees, so can we kneel or can we not kneel? Are you going to look at us out of the corner of your eye? Are you going to think of us differently if we take a knee during the national anthem? Or are you with us? I need to understand that. And if you are with us, I got a request for you, Drew. I need you to go tell everybody you're with us. I need you to say to the world, as a white, prominent quarterback, hey, everybody, when these guys decide to take a knee this year, it's not disrespectful to the flag. It's not. It is engaging in peaceful protest aimed at reiterating the message that Colin Kaepernick was trying to bring us all to understand 4 years ago before he was shoved out of the league, in part because of the fact that he let all the players realize that you have this right, you have this power, and feel free to use it. I want to know where Drew stands, and I want him to tell the world where he stands if I'm one of his teammates. And I think that's a fair request. That's a fair request. If you're going to put the toothpaste back in the tube, that's the only way to do it, Big Cat. You got to go out and say, I've changed my position. I fully support any peaceful protest in which my teammates choose to engage.
I hear you. I just think that knowing that it's Drew Brees' opinion, I don't think his opinion. Maybe it's actually a good thing, Mike. That if
it doesn't change, he's. But Big Cat, if his opinion hasn't changed, he's got nothing to apologize for. There's no apology.
My point. Hold on, that's my point though. Maybe it's a good thing that he hasn't come out and said it 24 hours later, because I don't really believe if someone just says, "Oh, I changed my entire opinion about this issue in 24 hours." Maybe he needs to reflect on it more. So he apologized for the backlash, and like you said, doing an interview explaining how he thinks. That, like, listening to other people and understanding their struggle can't happen overnight. So in a weird way, Drew Brees not coming out and saying, "Oh, I think exactly the opposite today that I did yesterday." I don't know. That would, if he did that, it would ring hollow. Would you not say that? Would you not say that?
No, it would not. No,
it would ring hollow.
So, no, Big Cat. It rings hollow when you say I apologize, but you don't say, and you don't change the thing that you apologize for. I mean, I'm trying to think of a good example here. It's like you're walking down the street with some sort of an offensive message on your shirt. And you walk down the street all day long with a message that offends people on your shirt. They get offended. They get upset with you. And you apologize to them. And then the next day you show up and you're still wearing the shirt. That's my point. He's either taking the shirt off or he's not. Is he still wearing that shirt I never will agree with someone disrespecting the flag. Are you still wearing that shirt? If I'm his teammate, that's what I want to know. That's what I want to know as an American. Do you still wear that shirt?
I think he's taking it off. If you want to use that analogy, he's slowly taking it off. And I understand that as human beings, it is hard, like understanding, a deeper issue and understanding how you're wrong here. Having a little introspection. I'm giving Drew the benefit of the doubt here, which he probably doesn't even deserve, because it's like, hey, this was his opinion yesterday, and it's hard to change your opinion that quickly. But I'm just saying, I get his teammates coming out and saying, look, we talked personally, we talked man to man, and I accept his apology because I know the type of guy he is. And then on top of it, I think Drew Brees will hopefully in the next week or so have a longer discussion about it and be like, here's where I was wrong. Here's how I now understand this issue. And I think that feels, because we do see it right now, Mike, in 2020, where it's do something wrong, apologize right away, rinse and repeat. So I'm hoping that Drew, it's, he got the apology. He did the double apology, which is never good. Never a good sign, the double apology in one day. But in a week or so, he can express exactly how he feels now and exactly how he was wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'll just give him that if his teammates are saying, I accept your apology, that they probably asked him some hard questions, and that Drew is going to actually explain how his opinion has shifted in the last week after thinking about it.
I think we may be on the verge of being able to start our own PR consulting firm, because through this conversation, this is the easy solution. In a situation like this, you've got three options. One, I apologize and I have changed my opinion. Two, I apologize that you disagree so vehemently with my opinion, but it remains my opinion. Three, I apologize for my opinion, and the reaction to it will cause me to spend the next few days reflecting and praying on my opinion as to whether or not it is an opinion that I will continue to adhere to. But I think you got to say one of those three things. You can't come out and apologize and ignore the thing that sparked the uproar that caused you to apologize. There is a donut hole. The donut hole is bigger than the donut in this apology until we know whether his position is, I've changed my opinion, or I'm sorry you disagree with my opinion, or I'm revisiting my opinion and I'll get back to you on whether or not I change it.
4, never double apologize in a 24-hour span, because that's always, when you're like, hey, I screwed up the first apology, here's another one. That always doesn't look so great, and especially, Drew Brees should have done the video to start with, because I think the written apology, like you said, he did an interview the first time. He expressed how he felt. So match that expression with doing an interview the second time and answer questions about how your opinion has changed and really show that.
What he needs to do is be part of a conversation like the one we're having, so we can drill down and get to the bottom of where he stands. Is he thinking and reflecting on whether or not he will change? I will never agree. It's got to be hard to back off of that when you just said less than 48 hours ago, I will never agree with anyone disrespecting the flag. Malcolm Jenkins, who had some passionate videos, one was deleted, then another one was posted. He said nothing publicly. Privately, according to Shaq, he's accepted Drew Brees' apology. I have been checking the Malcolm Jenkins Instagram and Twitter feeds over and over again because, frankly, from my perspective, I want to know what he thinks. And I don't want to interpret anything one way or the other into his silence, but I would have expected to hear from him by now, and we'll be monitoring that throughout the show over the weekend whenever Malcolm Jenkins has something to say.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.